Marketplace with Charles on an 11-day tour of the Holy Land. Take the route Israel traveled to the Promised Land, cross over the Red Sea, and float on the Dead Seas, the lowest point on earth with amazing healing properties. Experience the vibe of Jericho and cruise on the Sea of Galilee to Capernaum, the hometown of Jesus. Visit the pools of Bethesda, Nazareth, Bethlehem, and many more. Walk where Jesus walked and see the Bible come alive. If beautiful memories and an enriched spirit is what you are looking for, then join us in taking Jesus to the marketplace. For more information, call us on +27 72 123 0078 or email israel@artofskincare.co.za.
Welcome to Marketplace with Charles, where dreams are turned into reality. Marketplace is brought to you by Art of Skincare, the company that brings out the beauty in you, as well as Ngobeni Lodge from deep in the heart of Mabalengwe Nature Reserve. I am Ketiwe Pagati. On Marketplace, we empower and equip you with tools needed for you to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Each week, we bring you insights from experts in different fields of business, from men as well as women of faith. Our resident professor joins us again today, and he's a professor of practice in corporate governance, crisis management, as well as forensics. Professor Goss is the MD of PT Goss Pty Ltd, who will teach us on the subject of corporate governance, lessons for SMEs that you do not want to miss, because they will take you through as well as the post-COVID situation. As our resident professor in the Marketplace with Charles today, I will be handing over the reins of this episode over to Professor Goss. Professor, hello and welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Ketiwe. So important about the post-COVID discussion in relation to corporate governance for SMEs. What's important is to acknowledge the following. If you had a crisis during this period, this health pandemic period, it's quite likely that your business is ailing because your fundamentals were not in place. So the most important issue on fundamentals is, one, to be clear on your core purpose, your business model, and your long-term sustainability objectives. If you had long-term sustainability objectives, it's quite likely that you would have built up a reserve in your business. A reserve which will allow you to survive for 3 months and slightly more. So ideally, a SME, a small business, should have about a 3-month reserve in store. That means perhaps compromising on your drawings, your income too, as the founding member of the SME, the person who has started the SME. To be careful that you draw as little as possible. Drawings are your own income. Draw as little as possible and build up a capital reserve in the business. That will mitigate the risk of pandemic interfering with your business. Deal flow being you don't have enough deal pipeline for a 3 to 6 month period. So 1, build up a 3-month cash flow reserve. 2, build up a 6-month order book, for example. So ideally what you want in your business as part of your business model is to set out that we will always have a 6-month lead time on our order book. That means you're always ahead of any negative items that might emerge downstream. So between 3 and 6 months as a potential deal flow is what you want. What does that mean? That means you won't necessarily have these deals in the bag. What you will do is project potential deals for the next 6 months. The projection, however, is not a thumbsuck. The projection is something that is based on how you understand the moves you've made with business partners. What are the moves you make? The moves you made, I've engaged with an audience of this magnitude. I've met the following people. I've proposed for the following assignments by submitting quotations. Enter the subject of propose. I'm worried about the concept of today's SME being so reliant on bidding for government work. There are opportunities there. One needs to be careful to diversify where you target. So targeting is part of a go-to market strategy. You must diversify where you wish to target. Have government as a potential client. Have the private sector as a potential client. have a large corporate as a potential client. So always try to make sure you're chasing 5 corporates, for example. Make sure you're chasing 10 medium-sized companies. Make sure you're chasing 20 government departments. Why? Government departments take longer to make decisions. So if your whole potential deal flow is all government, your business has got a new risk. And you're looking at coronavirus or a pandemic as a potential risk. You're missing the risk that you're over-reliant on one type of client. So it's very important not to have too much reliance on one type of profile of client. So mix your client profile up when it comes to types of organizations that you could serve. So I'm talking about the concept here of making sure that you have the potential for deals way in advance of where you are today. At the same time also, plan the potential for what bills you will issue beyond 3 months. So if you're planning that I work this month, I bill this month, yes, you will, but you should always have more potential coming. So if you're only keeping an eye on your pot, what's cooking in your pot, and what food you will get out of the pot, when you finish cooking and you eat, the pot's empty. What you want to do is, as this pot is about to cook, you start another pot. So if you can visualize that. And as that pot is about to cook, you start another pot. And as you realize, no man, I need 4 pots going at the same time. Guess what? You can have somebody cooking the 4th pot for you. Or you can be cooking the 4th pot while others are taking care of these 3 pots for you, because they're solid, these pots. They are ready to get, to be eaten. They're ready to bear fruit, for example. So it's very important to rotate your opportunities and plan them for a longer term. But if you keep your eye on where you are now, I often say to my team at the office, they're very happy, members of your team, members of your staff, to have projects. What's a project? You've signed the deal. It must be executed. You will bill. That is not a safe place to be. It's a dangerous place to be. It makes you comfortable. And more often than not, when that potential pot is so big, unusually big for your business, for example, a couple of 100,000 rand up to R1 million, you start to think you've arrived, and you rest on your laurels, and your team thinks we are busy with projects, therefore we have a business. A project is not a business. A business needs a project. A business needs a milestone. I'm chasing that for the future. A business needs, that's what's going to happen in 6 months' time. So you must look at deliver now, think medium term, consider long term. Most of us are in the moment. Don't live in the moment. Live for a longer term lead time. So I'm at my most pressured when we have good projects. Most people are happy when they have good projects. I'm pressured because I'm worried my team is going to sit on their laurels and enjoy the projects. Projects get finished. Revenue gets finished. Bills get finished. You issue the bill and it's gone. But you need to pay salaries for the whole year. So the bigger picture about this issue of projecting is to have in your business model what your horizons are. I'm going to plan my business for an 18-month period. I think it's unrealistic for a new business to think 3 years on the start. I would say navigate your first 18 months. But if you're starting a business on a month-to-month basis, you don't have a business. You have projects. And that's dangerous. So we want you to have an 18-month lead time to think about what do I aim to achieve within 18 months. The further you aim away, the more fat you can build. The shorter your planning horizon, the less likely you will have fat for a rainy day. So your 3-month cash flow is your fat, is your padding. Your 6-month potential deals is your fat. So you'll find out over time that you can calculate what your potential hit rate is. We're quite successful, and our hit rate tends to be about 70%, but we're in consulting. So consulting at 70% is a pretty good hit rate. What you want to have, though, if you're in offering products, for example, if you're offering products, you're selling skincare, cosmetics, for example, you need to, in that model also, plan for what is my potential deal for, but you can plan longer when you have a product. You can say, in this year, I intend to sell a ton of skincare creams. I intend to sell 100 kilos of skincare creams. If you say 100 kilos must go, then you can ask yourself, where will the 100 kilos go? To that kind of organization, Mama's Hair Salon, perhaps 20% only. To the pharmacies, perhaps 50%, because that's where you're probably going to sell the most. Yeah. To the fellow entrepreneur who you will serve as wholesaler for, I think I'll put the rest of it there. So you've got to also segment your market if you had an ordinary product. So coming back to the corona issue, if you didn't do that in your business and you were living projects, you were living the next order for products, for example, that's why you could not have survived the 3 months of hiatus that corona imposed on us. You will have a hiatus in a business. Rest assured. You know, the average corporate business sees itself always going on a curve that way. The average SME goes like that. You see, we're still going up. Yeah. So we're never going to go like that. We must always plan that we will have dips, so peaks and troughs, ups and downs in the business. What you want is when you come out of the down, you must come back to a higher up in this whole cycle. So important that you think longer term. You plan longer term for orders. You plan longer term for billings. You plan longer term for collections. Make sure that you also plan, when I say collections, your clients will not pay you as promptly as you expect. So the trick is to confine the payment period as tightly as possible. I generally say to my clients, I need 14 days payment. You work for government, they say 30 days. But that 30 days can go as much as 90 days before you're paid. So you have an invoice out there, but you can't eat an invoice. You must eat money in your bank account. So you need to have something that will pay you. That's why you need to diversify your clients and not lean, for example, on public sector tenders, quotations to the public sector, where the lead time is slow. So this diversity of your client profile, of your sales profile, is very critical to you. So moving forward, back to the corona issue, I like to think of the COVID-19 virus, the coronavirus, as a learning curve as opposed to the ultimate event. For some of us, it is the ultimate event, I'm sure. But if you've planned well, it is another event. Many events will come. I've seen businesses long before we thought there'd be a corona collapse because they were awaiting a government contract. They were awaiting a government payment. They were awaiting a private sector company payment, and that company's cash flow was down, so they didn't prioritize you as a creditor. So one needs to be careful to plan in every business beyond only, let's call it, the impending or current crisis. Consider what might happen over the long term. And I hope that the coronavirus we leverage as a lesson for how to build sustainability and be future thinking, as opposed to a lesson how to navigate only a health pandemic. Yeah. So my philosophy on it is back to fundamentals now. If you suffered within a month of corona, then your business model had problems. If you suffered within a month of the coronavirus and the shutdown in March, then your business had a core purpose problem, a business model problem, and a go-to-market problem. So on go-to-market, what you need to keep in mind there is to constantly be visible. And even now in the corona period, what I've learned, for example, in my business is I'm more aggressive digitally. I now do my media interviews and commentary digitally. I'm ready to do one at 7 in the morning now, whereas previously I'd need to be in a studio at 7 in the morning. So abuse the opportunity that comes with the circumstance you're facing, the challenge you're facing. There is a way to look at the top 3 to 5 risks that you can foresee for your business. We call that in governance risk governance. So just spot what 5 risks might hit you in your business at an early business model conceptualization stage. Most of us don't do these or engage with these somewhat pedantic processes. Some of us are fortunate to have worked in big business where you cannot run a big business in your head. Now, we SMEs want to run our business in our head. You cannot run your household in your head. You cannot go to the supermarket in your head because you can only remember so many things. So if we have a list of 20 things to do at month end in the supermarket, why don't we have a list for our business? Why don't we document from business model the plan now to execute this business model? So we said core purpose, business model, next step, business plan.
So core purpose, business model, business plan, that's how it flows. And usually as small business owners, we just jump to the third one. So having skipped the go-to market process, I'm already working on the business plan, but it's not informed by anything. Thank you so much for that. Now we're going to go to an ad break and then we'll be back. You'll still be with us to continue. Viewers, don't go anywhere because Professor Goss continues with everything you need to know for your small business.
Join Marketplace with Charles on an 11-day tour of the Holy Land. Take the route Israel traveled to the Promised Land. Cross over the Red Sea and float on the Dead Seas, the lowest point on earth with amazing healing properties. Experience the vibe of Jericho and cruise on the Sea of Galilee to Capernaum, the hometown of Jesus. Visit the pools of Bethesda, Nazareth, Bethlehem, and many more. Walk where Jesus walked and see the Bible come alive. If beautiful memories and an enriched spirit is what you are looking for, then join us in taking Jesus to the marketplace. For more information, call us on +27 72 123 0078 or email israel@artofskincare.co.za.
Welcome back to the Marketplace with Charles. I'm so glad you could join us because we've got our resident professor, Peter Goss, to continue with lessons we want to lap up. Over to you.
So in our last segment, we're talking about business planning. And you rightly summed up that it's core purpose, business model, business plan. All these concepts, you can simply go onto the internet and Google them. What you must avoid is you must avoid borrowing the business, the core purpose, the business model and the business plan of some multinational that's highly complex and somewhat mature. We aren't mature, we have to admit. We're new as SMEs. So it's important to look at approaches that are fit for size. So I would recommend if you do research and if you consult, yes, you can consult upward from bigger companies, but also consider consulting at your level to understand what other SMEs have done and what has failed. So find a core purpose that fits an SME, find a business model that fits an SME, find a business plan that fits an SME. Now the important element of a business plan is to set out targets. A business plan must have the following basic targets. I like to start from the go-to-market approach to the business plan. If you chased money, you're likely to miss opportunity. If you chase opportunity, you will catch both opportunity and money. Okay. The likelier you will seal more deals. But if you chase money, you might get a quick win, but then you don't have a longer term deal flow. Deal flow means you don't have the prospect of more deals in the 6 months period or beyond 3 month period, 6 month period going forward. Your business plan must set out in a course of a given quarter. Think quarterly. I will target the following large, medium, small and government clients. I deliberately separate out government. It is a problem for me that most of us in SMEs tend to lean too much on government projects. How can you say you're running a business with prospects when you're hunting where everybody else hunts all of the time? How can you say you're starting a business with prospects where the way of sealing the deal is only your price? So while you might find that the average tender speaks to technical and pricing, more often than not, technical becomes a non-starter when you're selling tin beans. When you're selling skincare cosmetics, technical doesn't matter anymore. When you're selling toilet paper to government, when you're selling computer hardware and software to government, generally technical is not much of a winning hand. So what's the winning hand? The winning hand is the price side. So guess what? You're in a room and there are 50 to 100 people coming to attend a shortlisting and you're telling me you have a business with special qualities? No, what you're doing is the new trend over the last 15 years is tenderpreneurship. So be careful not to be a tenderpreneur. Tenders should be 5% of your ambition. Otherwise, you will die a fast death if you rely on tenders. You've seen now, for example, in the country, we have a lot of dilemmas around the PPE, personal protective equipment, etc. Can you imagine how much more bureaucracy is going to be built into the tendering process for personal protective equipment under these circumstances where there's allegations of corruption about all PPE procurement? So the more the environment is influenced by extraneous factors, it's a risk. So if you're leaning on PPE tenders now, I wish you luck in your SME. So you've got to diversify your business. So if PPE is your game, then target corporates. Then target other SMEs. Then target medium-sized businesses with PPE equipment. So in your go-to-market and business planning for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, set a 12-month target. In my first year, I want to make R1 million. Don't be too conservative. Don't be too ambitious. I want to make R1 million. Be careful. I want to make R1 million does not mean I want to pocket R1 million. Be very careful. So you could have a top line revenue, that's a gross income of R1 million, and you could make a profit of 300,000 for the whole year. And from there, the profit emerges after you've paid all your costs, including your personnel, staffing costs, including the costs of going to market, including that fuel you use to drive somewhere. If you caught a taxi, including the taxi fare. So quantify your costs in entirety, even the phone call you make, even the text that you send. Understand your costs, because it's in understanding your costs that you will know what profit your revenue will give you. So your revenue gives you profit after you subtract costs. Costs are those expenses you pay, necessary expenses you pay to run the business. So you must understand gross revenue, which is your income, and you want to understand what your costs are to run your business, and you want to understand what comes out. Now, normally for most industries, you will find that those numbers are not hard to find. In my industry, the larger you are, the lower your profit margin. So I'm a consultant. So in consulting, you generally are very fortunate to do 20% on a profit margin. And the bigger you are, it erodes even more. The bigger you are, the more your costs. So size isn't profit. An SME should focus on efficiency, not size. Yeah. So you can achieve the impression of being a progressive company. You can achieve the image and brand and even impact of being a professional company without being a big company. We like to think of ourselves as a niche subject matter expert company. So choose your brand. And it's not for us about how many people are sitting at a desk in my office every day. For me, it's how many people can I leverage and deploy within a click of a finger. I can deploy 20 people within a click of a finger, but in full time I keep 5 people. So I've got associates out there who are ready to work with me, people who are my level, who don't cost me when I don't have assignments for them. I keep my core team. I bring in these specialists to back me up on an as and when needed basis. Another way is to form a pool of resources with other partners in the market that do similar business to you. The trick with that is to be careful that you don't give your clients away to potential partnerships. So Charles from Marketplace with Charles has a similar business to my business, Peter Goss, Pty Limited. And when things are heavy and the pressure is on and I haven't got the capacity, I call Charles in. Not a very good business model. I will not call Charles in. Why would I call the competition to come and eat in my pot? So I'm not bringing the competition closer to eat in my pot. Charles must go his way. One day we might partner and go for something bigger. Okay. So 1 + 1 must always equal 3. Okay. But 1 cannot hand to 1 because it ends up with half. You can't share 1. You're cutting it in half. We want to add 1. So I often get these inquiries, and you will get it when you're a young business person. Can I work with you? It looks like you've got the right model. You know what you're doing. My answer to that person is quite simple. Show me yours, I'll show you mine. Yes. So if I don't know yours, 1 + 1. We are not taking mine to start yours. So very important to keep in mind that we cannot give you mine to start yours. We need to take ours to make 3 if we are 2. Yes. If we are 3, we want to make 5. So you want to always scale the opportunities. So your business plan must project an income. Your business plan must consider that's gross income. You must chase that gross income. You must tackle the market with an offering for that gross income. You must plan your costs. and you must plan what your targeted profit is. Then you must plan also what you will draw from that target profit. Profit must go down 3 ways. You must use profit in 3 ways. 1, pay the owner, pay the director. This is cutting the profit in 3. So for every 100 Rand, let's make it for every 90 Rand, 30 Rand to the owner, 30 Rand to the staff, and 30 Rand to build the team. So you've paid them from normal cost. Now we're talking about what do we do with the profit. Look after the owner, look after his staff, and look after the development of the company. So 30% goes back into the company. Most people, that profit goes to the owner. So he kills sustainability by feeding the owner only. Feed the owner, feed the staff, feed the company.
And with those 3 ways of splitting the profit, we have to call it a close. Just for our viewers, as our resident professor, they will see you more often and learn more, but just give them details of where to contact you and where to reach you.
Thank you. My details are pg@petergoss.co.za. pg@petergoss.co.za. Look at my website, www.petergoss.co.za, and you can find me on social media. I only deal with LinkedIn social media, business social media. You can connect with me there at my name, Peter, Peter Goss, Goss.
Thank you. And there you have it. That was our resident professor, Peter Goss. Let us meet again next week, same time, same place, for another power-packed episode. Don't forget to check out the repeat of this episode very early on a Wednesday morning, 1 a.m. on the same channel. You can also view repeats at any time you want of this program by just subscribing on our YouTube channel. It's called Charles Ngobeni to watch a repeat of Marketplace. I assure you that's a decision you will not regret. Thank you so much for watching The Marketplace with Charles, brought to you by Art of Skincare. And do remember, you can get in touch with Charles Ngobeni as well as The Marketplace with Charles on our social medias. It's all Charles Ngobeni. Remember, on Instagram, it's Charles_Ngobeni. And until next time, I am Ketiwe Pagati, and on Facebook, that is Maketi Speaks Live. God bless.